Have you ever faced a life or death choice where a single decision could determine the survival of everything you hold dear? In the biting cold of a seemingly endless winter, our tiny ant colony faced just such a moment. One seed, a single solitary seed. Would it be our last meal or a promise for a brighter tomorrow? This is the story of Elder, the oldest ant, keeper of our dwindling stores, and the holder of a secret that had slumbered for centuries. A secret of hope and rebirth. That winter, it was unlike any other. The cold didn't just seep into our bodies, it froze hope itself. The earth was as hard as rock. Not a drop of dew, not a single green leaf. Foraging trips grew scarce, then ceased entirely. Inside the colony, murmurs and heavy sighs gradually replaced the usual bustling sounds of labor. Elder, the venerable ant with a silvery antennae and eyes etched deep with time's passage, silently inspected the food chambers day after day. Each count weighed heavily on his heart. He knew with certainty that our treasured provisions were almost gone. Then one morning, in the faint light filtering through a crack in the earth, he found it. A seed, solitary, nestled quietly in his frail palm. Just one seed. Enough to sustain a single ant for one more day, or perhaps share among a few siblings. But that would be the very last meal. The absolute end. When Elder called everyone together, announcing the harsh truth, despair consumed the colony. "Eat it, Elder, even just a little away," a voice cried out. A gaunt, trembling ant stepped forward, his voice laced with bitterness. "You want us to starve, Elder? Just that one seed, it would be enough for my child to live one more day." Fear and rage flared in their eyes. They were hungry, they were cold, they wanted to live. Elder spoke slowly, his voice deep but echoing throughout the cavern. "I understand your fear. I too feel the gnawing hunger. But this seed is not for eating. This is the seed of hope." He told stories of winters even harsher than this one, when their ancestors too stood at the brink of extinction. He spoke of a sacred ritual, a belief passed down through hundreds of generations, that planting the very last seed wasn't an act of surrender, but the most powerful plea to Mother Earth, a promise of rebirth. "We will perform this ritual of the seed of hope together," Elder declared. "This seed will be planted, not to sustain a few individuals today, but to nurture the faith and future of our entire colony tomorrow." Many young ants still harbored doubts, exchanging wary glances. "How can we believe in what we cannot see?" a young ant blurted out. Elder looked deep into their eyes, his voice soft but containing a trove of wisdom. "Believe in what once saved our ancestors. Believe in life's unending cycle, even when it hides beneath the snow." Gradually, a few young ants, with curious and somewhat reluctant eyes, stepped closer to Elder. They believed in him, not out of reason, but from something deeper, a faint whisper of hope calling to them. That night, under the faint moonlight filtering through cracks in the rock, Elder and the young ants emerged from the colony. The cold still bit, but the air carried an unusual sanctity. Elder carefully placed the seed into a small hollow in the earth. Then, with the other young ants, one by one, he gently covered it with their legs, not with force, but with reverence and a fragile hope. No words were spoken, only the soft rustle of the wind, like a prayer, and hearts beating in unison with the rhythm of faith. It was a moment of surrender, not to fate, but to a belief far greater than themselves. They gambled everything on a slender hope, Elder's promise, a secret from antiquity. It was a silent epiphany. They understood that true selflessness isn't just about giving away material things, but about giving away faith in a shared future, even if it hasn't yet materialized. They had planted not just a seed, but the seed of unity, of trust, and of unconditional love. Then, like a miracle from Mother Earth, winter slowly receded. The first warm rays of spring caressed the cold earth. And one morning, as the ants, still weak, stumbled in search of sustenance, they saw it. A tender green sprout pushing vigorously from the very spot where Elder had planted the seed. It wasn't just a sprout, it was a symbol of life, of hope answered, of the promise of rebirth. The entire colony erupted, not just for the food the plant would eventually provide, but for something far greater. Elders' faith had been proven true. They had overcome their fear, dared to gamble on the unseen, and had triumphed. That sprout didn't just feed their bodies, it nourished their souls, healing the scars of despair. The lesson of the last seed was etched deep into the mind of every ant. They understood that in life, there are moments when we must choose between immediate safety and a greater future. Selflessness isn't about giving up yourself, but about opening up to embrace a far greater power, the power of community, of faith. And sometimes, to truly reap a bountiful harvest, you must dare to plant your very last seed, even when your heart is full of fear. Because it is in that very moment, when we dare to believe in rebirth and a better tomorrow, that life truly begins to blossom. To this day, looking out at the lush green fields surrounding our ant colony, I still remember Elder and that last seed. The ritual of the seed of hope has become an indispensable part of our ant culture, passed down from generation to generation, a reminder of winter's harsh lesson in the enduring power of faith. It's not just a story of survival, but a story of planting hope, of bravely believing in things greater than ourselves. And perhaps in this life, each of us carries a last seed within us, a seed of dreams, of love, or of an unyielding faith. Dare to plant it, and you will see your life and the world around you sprout and flourish forever.